Most people only think about insects when there's a mosquito buzzing around their head, or a black fly is eating at their neck. But insects have a lot of useful attributes, and I'd like to tell you a bit about them, and maybe by the end of this you'll think better of insects than you do now. First of all, I'd like to tell you a bit about the various kinds of insects that you're more likely to encounter, starting with flies and their relatives. For example, here's a fruit fly, and you can see that it only has it has the six legs that all insects have, and it only has one pair of wings. Most insects have two pairs of wings, so a total of 4 wings altogether. But the flies have only one pair of wings, and the back pair of wings is replaced by this little nub here, which is used in balance for flying. They can't actually fly without it. So that's one way of telling when you have a fly. Examples of flies are fruit flies that will take care of your banana and other fruits. Apple maggot, if you ever, a lot of flies have their first stages of the fly are a maggot, and if you've ever bitten into an apple and found one, you'll know what that is all about. In that same group is mosquitoes, in which they are very important because they have they need many of them need a blood meal to reproduce. They are carriers of diseases like malaria and dengue fever and Zika virus. The black flies, well, they're just plain annoying. Next group of insects I'd like to talk to you about are the bugs, the true bugs, and you can tell these by their mouth parts. They have a long kind of straw-like sucking organ mouth part that's used for sucking juices out of other insects and out of plants. Examples of those are the hairy cinch bug, which is can be quite devastating on lawns, and the squash bug that can take a big hit on squashes. Butterflies are another very important and very well-known group of insects. The most well-known of these is the monarch butterfly, which has a migration from way up north all the way down to Mexico and back, and it feeds almost exclusively on milkweed, which gives it a really nasty taste for bird. Like I've never tasted one, but birds apparently don't like the taste of monarch, so they eat one, and then that's the last one they eat. And another interesting fact is that the viceroy, which looks almost the same as the monarch, doesn't eat the, um, the milkweed, and so it doesn't have a nasty taste. But the birds don't know that, so they stay away from them anyways because they look just like a monarch. Another relative of this is the moths, which are mostly come out at night. Here's a very large, maybe 3 or 4 inches across, Promethean moth. And you'll notice that it has on the ends of its wings, it has these eye-like looking spots. And the moth uses this to fool predators into thinking that it's a larger animal than it really is, and keeps them away. Even bigger than that is the eastern tiger swallowtail, can reach as much as 5 inches across, and is a beautiful, beautiful butterfly. Beetles are a large group of insects, and the way you can tell a beetle is that it has a hard case on the back of covering the back of its wings. And examples of those are the Colorado potato beetle, the June beetle, the lady beetle, and lily beetle, which we all love to hate. There are some beetles that have been, that are imports. They've come from other countries, and because of that, they don't have any natural predators, so they've wreaked havoc with our forests. First, the emerald ash borer is devastating for ashes. It has just about wiped out, or will soon wipe out, the ash trees. In addition, the Asian longhorn beetle, which is not as discriminating on what tree it goes after, but is also a very serious problem. Bees are another large group of insects. One of the most well-known is the bumblebee, which is a very large bee. And it's so large that people used to think, how can this bee actually fly? Because it's so big, but it does. So that's nature, I guess. And related to the bumblebee is our mason bees, which are very important for us because they pollinate. They come out early and they pollinate the early flowers in the north where we are. You can tell it looks a lot like a fly, so it's very hard to tell, except that it has the extra pair of wings that would distinguish it. So if you get up close, you can probably tell. Related to that are the wasps. Now, you're familiar probably with the yellow jackets that come after your food in the late summer and bother you, and they nest in the ground mostly, and they have related to the paper wasp, which creates a paper nest, brown paper nest in the trees. I'm sure most of you have seen these. Also related to the bees and wasps are ants. and ants have a lot of important functions in the environment. They often will take seeds and move them around and distribute them for the plants. One thing that they're thought to help with the opening of peonies, but that's not really true. They're just there to lap up the nectar from on the bud. When you come across a insect in the garden, 95% of the time it's a useful insect. First of all, it's probably not interested in your plants. Most of them are interested in the insects that eat your plants. So they're mostly carnivores, and the few that do bother your plants are not that hard to get rid of. Because if you try to get rid of by poison sprays, you will end up getting rid of the good guys too. So let's go through some of these useful insects that you may not think are useful in the first place. You come across this is a very large ground beetle. It is maybe an inch or so big, and it looks ugly, but that's the only downside to it. It is voracious feeder on insects in your garden. So if you come across one of these, just leave him alone. He's doing a good job. Also, people may be already familiar with the lady beetles that actually eat aphids on your plants. But the one thing you might not be familiar with is the larvae of the lady beetle. On the right here looks a lot different than the adult, and but it is also a voracious feeder of aphids. So if you don't know what an insect is doing, don't assume that it's bad. It usually is. And all kinds of bugs will grab another insect and suck its innards out. So assume that it's a good bug if you find it. Of course, everybody knows the praying mantis, and it has a lightning strike. Can look like a twig and slowly move through the trees and the brush and lash out and eat all kinds of other insects. So very useful in the garden. Some people actually buy the eggs and hatch them in their gardens. These guys and their relatives, the dragonflies, are voracious feeders of things like black flies. So their emergence from the streams is just at the time when the black flies are coming out in great numbers. And once the dragonflies come out, they will make short work of the black flies, which is a goal. We hope that you have got a sense that the insects are, for the most part, good, and they're helping you in your garden, and so don't step on them. We'll be watching you.